Okay, so first I'm gonna talk about something in Japanese. Okay. はい、ということで、皆さんどうも明けましておめでとうございます。Happy New Year. And 大室さん、Happy New Year. あら、大室さんいなくなった。ですね、2015年初めましての、English Hangout を始めたいと思います。大室さんがさっきまでいたんだけど、どっかに行っちゃいました。もし見えてたらまた教えてください。多分見えてるのかな？ Oh, he's back.
Sorry
Hi,
about
Omo-san.
that. Are you getting my video?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay,
It's coming. Yeah.
there we go.
At least I can hear you. Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So I said to you just Happy New Year. And then how have you been?
How have I been? I've been pretty fine, pretty busy, I guess.
See,
But, yeah.
with work?
Yeah, my industry has sort of a trade show coming up.
Wow, in Japan?
No, it's
Oh.
it's in, I think it's in Las Vegas.
Wow,
I'm not going, but the company has a lot of material to prepare,
wow,
so I'm involved with that.
wow. And are you done with that?
Not yet. We're working on it daily.
Wow, that's why you're so busy.
Yeah.
Okay, so and how did you spend the holiday season with your family or really?
Yeah, there was some family. Also had my own relatives, like my brother, and also met with the friends and stuff. It was okay. It's a normal kind of
Normal? お正月 stuff.
nothing very special.
Oh, well,
Same as every year.
it's special.
Yeah. How did you spend your New Year? What was it?
I went to Ishigaki Island with my
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, had a good time.
I've been following you on Twitter.
Had a good time.
Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Warm climate. Yeah, I ate a lot of Ishigaki food, Okinawan food. I really enjoyed that.
Very nice.
ということで、お正月初めの、ハンガウトは、ちょっとお正月過ぎたので、お休みをしました。で、実質、この第2週が、2015年の初めのハンガウトということになりました。コホストは、バイリンガルの大室克之さんです。どうも。そして、今年も引き続き、ホストは、セレンがやっていきます。2週目は、前年度の、後半から引き続き、クリティカルシンキングっていうものを、英語を使って、大村さんは基本英語でモデレートしていって、僕が日本語で可能な限りキャッチアップしていくようなイメージで、いわゆるバイリンガルスタイルですか。せっかくなんでね、見ながら英語も学べて、そして、この回で大村さんとやろうとしていることは、英語で考える。で、英語らしい考え方というか、ちょっと論理的な、で、クリティカルな考え方っていうのがあると思うんで、僕たちね、せっかく英語を学ぶ以上はですね、教科書的なことを学ぶだけじゃなくて、実際に使えるような考え方とか、そういう姿勢とか、そういうものも一緒に学んでいこうという、アイデアでやっております。で、基本、大室さんが英語でですね、モデレートしていくので、皆さん結構、英語でついていくのに必死になるかと思うんですけど、なるべくゆっくり、で、一緒に考えながら、全員巻き込んでいけるような感じにできたらなと思ってるんで、ぜひ皆さんも、言いたいこととか、質問とか、こんな考えどうっていうのがあれば、ぜひぜひ、インタラクティブにできたらなと思ってるんで、やっていきましょう。ということで、大本さん、let's get started.
Let's get started. So last time we talked about several kinds of logical patterns. And this time I want to talk about solving problems. Solving problems. Okay. When I say problems, it doesn't necessarily mean you have something that's going to
bad.
It's going to be bad. Yeah, it doesn't. It just means that you have a situation and you need to resolve that.
Like,
it could be anything. For example, you might be, I don't know, you might need something to eat, and you have to think about what you're going to eat. It could be something like that. But in general, we call them problems when we're talking about logic. It's just something that needs thought, something you need to think about. Okay? And there's 3 major points I want to go over today.
Okay.
So I will highlight them when I get to them. But the first big point is, today I wanted to title our thing "Solving the Right Problems." It's about solving the right problems. And what happens is sometimes you think you've solved a problem, but maybe you really haven't, because the problem you solved isn't really solving anything. It's not the real root of the problem. So that's actually really important, I think. And so I want to think about that today. So the first point is, if you want to get the right answer, you have to first ask the right question.
Right.
Okay? So the first point is asking the right question. Okay.
Okay.
So if I say we have to ask the right question, can you think of anything, like an example of something like that? If I say maybe there's a situation and someone asked a question, maybe that's not the real question that we need to be asked.
Right. And we sometimes say in Japanese, 質問力. So to solve the problem right in front of us,
right,
that we should ask the correct and right specific question.
Correct question, yeah. So I have one example. Okay. So suppose that we have a man who is trying to get a date. A man wants to get a date.
Okay.
So he wants to talk to women, and he wants to ask them out, right?
Okay. Right.
But when he's having a conversation with a lady, he doesn't know what to say. He keeps running out of things to say. So he says something.
Wow.
He says something, and then he doesn't know what else to say.
That reminds me of what I used to. Okay. Just go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I mean that's a problem, and the man wants to solve the problem. Okay. Now it doesn't have to always be a man and a woman, but you know what I mean. And this is just an example. So if a man wants to talk to a woman, but he keeps running out of things to say, okay, so he's going to, like, I don't know, maybe ask somebody. He's going to ask a friend. Okay, so what do I say in a situation like that? Right. He might have a friend who gets good dates, and he might ask, what do I say? What do I say? But maybe once he learns what to say, he will say the right things this time. But then he doesn't know where to take the girls on a date. Like, he doesn't know where to take them. Where do we go on the date, right? So now he's going to have this next problem where I keep running out of places to go.
Right.
Yeah. So he asks his friend, where do I go, right?
Right.
Okay. And then he solves that little problem, but again, he's going to have the next problem.
Right.
Because he himself hasn't really solved his problem. His real problem is that he's just not interesting, right? Right. So that's what he needs to realize. And that's
what a sad story.
Yeah. But my example is that's the problem we need to solve here. Right. The problem we need to solve is that the man himself, he needs to become more of an interesting person. Or he needs to find somebody who would find him exciting, right?
Right.
Maybe he doesn't have to change. Maybe he's just going after the wrong people. That's a possibility. But the idea is that his problem isn't necessarily that he keeps running out of things to say. The problem isn't that he doesn't know where to go. But he thinks that's what his problem is. So he keeps looking for the wrong answers. He finds the short-term answer, which is to find what to say. But that doesn't really solve his problem, right? So that's an example of asking the wrong question.
Right.
So to get the right answer, what do? You have to ask the right question. How do I become more interesting? Or the other question he could be asking instead is, how do I find the right people to ask?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. In order to reach the core of the problem.
The problem, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's an example of that I have. Okay.
Asking the right question.
Yeah, asking the right question.
All right.
Okay. So I have another example that I want to give you, and I want to give the listeners. And instead of me giving the answer this time, I want us to think about it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Take a quiz.
So let's say that I'm making a living, right? I'm just living my daily life. I'm making a living, doing my job, whatever I'm doing, and I just don't think my job is good enough. Okay. So I think I don't have a good enough job, and I need to get a better job. Okay. That's what I think the problem is. Okay. But I want you to think about if I got a real job, if I got another job, is that really going to solve my problem, or am I going to run into other problems? Right? So let's think about what the real problem might be. If I think I need a new job, what do you think the real problem might be?
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so, okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, what are the kinds of things we can think about? For example, it might just be that my current job does not give me enough time with my friends. That might be the reason I don't like my job. Okay.
Taking up your time.
Yeah. So if that's the problem, maybe you shouldn't look for a new job, but rather maybe you can talk to your boss and ask for different shift or something like that. So if you think you need a new job, the problem might really be somewhere else. So can we think of another problem, another possible something like that?
Okay, let me get this straight.
Okay.
Japanese. 多分今、大室さんが言ってたのはですね、要するに、まあ、例えば、大室さんがなんか仕事を変えたいと。新しい仕事を、ね、今はなんとかこう仕事をやってるけど、なんか新しい仕事が欲しいな、なんか新しい仕事に就きたいなって思ったときに、結局、その本当の問題というか、そのコアというか、そこの問題の所在はどこにあるのかっていうことをやっぱり、見極めないと、例えばだから極端な話、大室さんが仕事を変えても、結局同じ問題が起こったりしたら、結局それは仕事の種類ではなくて別の問題なんじゃないかっていうことですよね。Right? ということで、だから例えばこういう状況の時に、どんな問題が例えば考えれるだろうか。だから例えばさっき大室さんが言ってたその時間が足りないっていうんだったら、仕事を変えるというよりは、今の仕事で結局上司に相談して、ちょっとその時間に余裕のあるシフトに変えてもらったりすることで解決できるとかっていうこともあるわけで、本当のだからまあさっき大室さんが言ってたそのね、状況をしっかり判断するっていうことを考えると、そういうことですよね。本当のコア問題をしっかり見極めないといけない。だから、まあ例えば、なんだろう。僕だったら、給料とか、サラリーとか、あとはなんだろうね。まあなんかその、satisfaction というか、なんかこのね、the job doesn't give you satisfaction、とかであれば、ちょっとこれはまた違う問題かもわかんない。何で、じゃあ、ね、What kind of job makes you happy? っていうことになってくると思うし。
Okay.
It's kind of tough.
No, yeah, it's fine. The first, well, it was kind of funny because I didn't really mean it was about me.
Right.
It's an example. Yeah, it's okay. But it doesn't really matter who. Let's say somebody wants a new job. And you gave two good examples, I think. One might be that I don't think my salary is high enough. Another one might be that I'm just not enjoying my job. I could think of a couple others. One might be that I'm having problems with people at my workplace. You understand, right? Right. Another one might be that my commute is stressful.
By train or...
Yeah, train, or if you're driving, whatever.
Right.
The commute might be stressful. Something like that. But if we look at the root of all these, we can still probably resolve them. For example, if it's your expense, or if it's your salary, then you might be able to look at two things. You might be able to look at the way you're spending money. Maybe you're spending too much money, or I don't know. Maybe I like to go out and drink. Maybe I can just go out and drink one fewer time every month or something, and maybe that'll help me, right? Another thing you could do is similar to the other problem. You can talk to your boss and try to negotiate.
Right.
The same thing if you're... Hello, little one. If you're having a problem with the people at the workplace, you can negotiate with the people, negotiate with your boss, and have you transferred to another department, or better yet, have them transferred to another department.
Right. Figure out who's the problem.
Right.
That bothers you.
Right. The other one, like if it's a commute issue, I don't know if this is very practical in Japan here, but for example, some companies might allow you to work from home.
Right.
And then you can negotiate. For example, maybe I work from home 1 day a week instead of always going to work, or maybe I can work from home 2 days a week, or you can negotiate, right? Now that's another thing. You got to negotiate. But in order to start doing this, you have to realize where your problem is.
Right.
Where is the problem? Now, about the last one you gave, where it was you're not enjoying your job. Now, that's the case where you might want to think about really changing your job. That, I think it makes sense. Then your problem might really be where your job is, and then then you're on the right track. You want to look for a new job. So,
makes sense.
So I'm not saying that looking for a new job is always wrong. If you really get to that, then maybe that's the right thing to do.
Right.
But you got to really look at the problem.
Yes. And we should understand what it is and what the problem is, and then it comes from where it comes from. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second one that we'll cover?
No, that's the first one. That's the
first one. Okay.
Yeah, that's asking the right question.
The right question. Okay.
Yeah. Asking the right question. Another one, this one is a little bit short, so I'm just going to throw it in. But the problems I gave you right now were pretty big. They have to do with my life. Like if I'm going to, again, if this has to do with somebody trying to change their life, they want to they want to ask a woman out. That was my first example. Or second one is they want to change careers. That's the second one. But another one might be just a business decision. Okay. For example, let's say a factory has a certain heating device. They heat their factory using a certain device. Okay. And this heater has a certain part that keeps breaking.
Okay.
So they go to a certain supplier that they go to get that piece replaced. Okay. But this piece keeps breaking like every month or something.
Oh, too bad.
Okay. Then 1 month you find out that this supplier has gone out of business. Okay. Now your problem is to go find a new supplier that carries that part. But you want to think about, is that really the right problem? Or maybe our heating system is just kind of stupid, and we want to think about the heating system. Maybe it's just better to get a different heating solution. Yeah. So that's another very short-term example of when you might want to look at the bigger picture and find a different problem.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, makes sense, everybody? Hopefully.
Big picture ね、こう広い視野で。
Right.
こうね、英語らしい表現ですね。Looking at the big picture, bigger picture.
Of course, I think in Japanese you can also say an expression that means that you're looking at the forest and not just the tree.
木 木を見て森を見ず。
Right, right, right. But you want to look at the forest instead.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Makes sense, right.
Yeah. You think maybe there, well, do you want to go on, or maybe you want to talk about this a little bit more? We can do that.
Okay, we're going to cover 3 topics, right?
Right. So that was the first one.
Okay. Asking the right question.
Yeah, we want to stay focused on the true problem here. Well, what is it that we really want to do? That's the true problem.
Right.
One thing you have to do is learn to not be offended. Right. Oftentimes, somebody is thinking of a solution, and they think they're right, but somebody can suggest something, and you have to learn to accept that.
Sure.
As an opinion, right? Because people often don't like that. Like sometimes I'm thinking, here's the way I want to do this, and then someone else tells me, dude, you have it all wrong, and then I get offended. But I need to learn not to do that, right?
Does it happen even in America?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought that only happens in Japan.
No. And I mean, even me, it probably happens. I try to control myself, but especially when, it also depends on like, I guess in Japan might depend on like seniority. For me, I think it would depend on like experience, how much I trust the guy's decisions, or right, something like that. If some newbie walks into the company and starts giving me all this stuff about how I do stuff, then maybe I'd get offended. I don't know.
Right.
But I think it's human nature, and we have to learn to look at the content and not the person.
Right.
And I think that's for everybody.
Yeah. And then that's a science.
Yeah, it is.
Pure argument starts.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just psychology.
Psychology, right.
Yep.
今、大室さんが言ってたのは、結局、そのなんか、人がこうやって意見を言ったときに、なんて言うんだろう、その、いや、そうじゃなくてとか、こうちょっとこう、言い合いじゃなくて、やっぱりそのクリティカルシンキングっていうのは、正しく物事を判断して、本当のプロブレム、物事のコアの問題って何だろうって考えたときに、やっぱり横からいろんな人が言ってくれる意見とかっていうのも一つの、その人の意見として尊重して、一回受け入れてみるっていう姿勢も大事だよねっていうことを、大村さんは今、言ってて、まさにそうだなと思います。で、僕は今、それってアメリカでも起こんのって聞いて、いや、そうって言ったのは、僕は日本人のイメージとして、やっぱり、日本人ってそれすごく苦手だなと、非常に思うんですよね。僕自身もやっぱり、なんて言うんだろう。いや、その考え方は違うんじゃない？私はこう思うよ、みたいなことを言われたら、いや、喧嘩売られてるのかな、みたいな、ふうに思ったりすることも、言い方にももちろんよるんですけど、でもそれもしっかり意見として捉えて、生産的に活用していこうっていうのが、やっぱり冷静な考え方だと思うし、そういう姿勢を学べることっていうのは一つ僕は英語を学ぶ一つのメリットかなと、第三の視点というか、それこそ looking at the big picture で。
Right. So, I mean, maybe you have a view and somebody else has a view, and maybe their view was right. Maybe you were right after all, or maybe the correct answer is like a combination or somewhere between the two. So, I think it's a good idea to be able to accept those kinds of views.
Sure.
はい。
どの時点でどっちが正しいかとかもね、わかんないですからね、やっぱり。広い視野で見て。
You might both be wrong too. That's another thing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. 両方間違っていることもね、ありますからね。Okay.
Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is that the answer to the question that you're trying to solve might actually have different. You might get different answers based on the priority. Priority means how important something is.
Right.
Okay. Generally, you can divide something into near-term solutions and long-term solutions, or short-term and long-term. Yeah. Well, the idea is something that you want to accomplish in a very short amount of time, and then something you want to do in the long term. This is sort of similar to that the big picture and the small picture again. Also, some people call it urgent versus important.
Oh.
Yeah. Urgent versus important.
Urgent.
Yeah. So I have an example. This is going to be the urgent versus important is the employee versus his boss.
Oh.
And I say boss, but like somebody way up the hierarchy.
Oh, okay.
The further away he is from the employee, the farther away it's going to be, like the viewpoint is going to be different, right? Okay. The employee will tend to think about near-term things. Urgent things, and the people up the rungs, higher up the ladder, would think about more long-term things, more things that are important in the long run. So let me give you an example. Let's say you work at a food establishment. Okay, let's say you're I don't know, you're making hamburgers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very typical maybe part-time job as maybe high school kids or something would do.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay, so let's say you're in a kitchen as an employee and you're frying something. Now, when you spend a lot of time at this fryer every day because you're an employee. Okay, but let's say that a new generation fryer, like a machine that fries things, has been developed in the industry. Okay? And it's more cost efficient.
Okay.
In terms of like maybe it uses less gas to fry, natural gas, or maybe it uses less cooking oil or something. So it's like a big step going forward because this new thing is going to cut down the costs.
Okay, and replace.
Yeah. But let's say that the people higher up are going to want to start replacing the fryers with this new one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. But let's say that at your location, the current fryer just broke. Well, the employee really needs a new fryer or needs to get it repaired, right? And they don't have the time to get the new one. They just want the same one. So the employee wants the company to pay for a new current generation device.
Device.
But the company doesn't want to spend any more money on the current generation, right? The company just wants to switch to the new one. But right here you have this conflict of urgent versus important. Urgent is we need to fix this current one. And important is we need to switch to the better one.
Right.
Yeah. Oftentimes you can't do both. This is a problem everywhere, and all businesses have this problem.
Right.
My industry, like I'm a software engineer, so I have this all the time. We want to make new features. That's important, but we have to fix problems that we have right now. That's very urgent.
Yeah, that we currently have.
Yeah, right. So the problem we have is that we need to scope the situation to the time. Like we say, okay, what are we doing today? If we say what are we doing today, then the answer is we're doing something urgent. What are we doing this year? Maybe the better answer is the important one, right? So don't just say, what are we doing? Make sure you ask the right question. Say, what are we doing today? Or what are we doing this year? Or what's the short-term goal? Or what's the long-term goal? That's very important to distinguish that when you ask the question.
Right. Well, what a good example.
Right.
Easy to understand. Right.
Yeah.
今、大室さんが言ってたのは、非常にいい例で、その長期的なその視野と、短期的な問題解決の視野で、いろいろ、なんていう、状況によって対立が起こるよねっていうことで、マクドナルドとは言ってないよ。ハンバーガーの話をして、ハンバーガー屋さんをもし作ってて、その目の前の、揚げるマシーンが壊れてしまったと。で、上層部は長期的な視野で、もっといい機会があるから、もう全部入れ替えて新しいのを導入しようよって話をしてるけど、そこの、もうバイト単位で、バイトの視点からすると、いや、今壊れたやつ早く直してよ。もうとりあえず今のでいいから、新しくしてよっていう、求めてるものがそもそも違うから、もうその時点でコンフリクトになってしまうっていう話をしてて、確かに難しい問題ですね、これは。So hard to solve.
Yeah, sometimes it's a communication problem.
Oh.
Yeah. So make sure that if you're the employee, when you tell the people above you what needs to happen, just make sure you let them understand that this is urgent.
Right.
And we know it's not important, but it's urgent. It's a short-term thing.
Right.
We know that this doesn't meet your long-term aim.
Right.
But it just has to happen, or else we can't get by today. Right?
Right.
So that kind of thing is really important. So you have to think about that kind of priority.
Right.
When you ask yourself the question. A big question in that regard is, what do I do after high school, or what do I do after college, right? Sure, maybe after high school you go to college, but that should be a short-term thing. You're not going to go to college for the rest of your life, right? You have to, right? You have to have both your short-term thing and your long-term thing. Sort of have an idea, even though you might change things. You should sort of have an idea,
Right.
or at least always be thinking about it.
Yeah. Right. Like, so what are you gonna do? So the rest of your life. Yeah. Right. Oh, it's so deep.
Yep.
Right.
So in this case, I have an example for everybody to think about again.
Okay.
My example here this time is going to be health.
Okay.
Like your wellness, how well you, and versus medicine.
Okay.
Medicine. I want us to think about how that could conflict. Like maintaining your health. Is that a short-term goal or is that a long-term goal?
Sounds interesting. Okay.
Right. So if you have let's say you have a person with high blood pressure.
Okay.
What advice would you give that person?
Okay.
Right.
So you wanna let people think about it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe somebody can think about it, or and then maybe after a couple minutes we can.
Yeah, let's take a moment.
Yeah.
今大室さんから出たお題、ちょっとみんなで一緒に考えてみようよっていうお題は、健康対薬っていうことで、今ちょっとそういう尺度でちょっと考えてみようと。ハイブラッドプレッシャー、高血圧ですね、いわゆる。高血圧の人が目の前にいたときに、どういうアドバイスをしますかと。結局、その人にとっての一番ためになるアドバイスというか、何を言ってあげれば、どういうアドバイスをしてあげれば、その人にとってベストなアドバイスになるでしょうかという質問でした。で、さっき言ってたように、健康と薬っていうことを考えると、そこの辺がヒントになるのかなと思うんですけど。
Maybe medicine in this case is 医学。
医学。薬ね。もっと広いあれで。医学か。メディスンね。確かに。健康 vs 医学。
Yeah.
確かに。
Right. So, for example, if a person has, it really depends on how bad the high blood pressure is.
Right.
And what is causing it. Right. For example, if it comes from stress, or it's like a mild condition, maybe it's not too high, maybe it's a little bit high, then you could suggest things like, eating healthier?
Right, and exercising.
Also maybe like sleeping more. Maybe finding better ways to spend your days off. Like maybe that'll help your stress. Maybe spend more time with your friends. Maybe try to not stay at work so late.
Right.
Something like that. Maybe maybe you're a salesman and you have to go talk to clients all the time, and you get nervous. If that causes your blood pressure, then it's a stress matter. Right? So maybe you can take speech lessons or something. Can you think of anything else? For like this kind of, because these are all long-term solutions.
Right. Change the lifestyle.
Right, change the lifestyle. That's exactly right. That's something about your lifestyle that you need to change.
And get some rest.
Watch your sodium or something. Right.
Right.
Okay. That's when you need that's when a long-term solution will work. Okay. But what kind of situation will require a short-term solution?
Oh, we got one.
Oh, we did. Nice.
Have less salty stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Go easy on salt.
Yes.
Right.
Go easy on salt. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Okay. And then what did you say just now?
Oh yeah, the other one is sometimes these kinds of solutions we just talked about are about keeping yourself healthy, right? They're not really related to the field of medicine that much. But in certain cases, you really need to go get help from medicine. It's
right.
The situation is too urgent.
Right.
For example, let's say that you have what's it called? You have some problems in like your blood vessels, like high cholesterol or something, and you're actually in danger. I don't know what it's called, but it's like when your blood vessels have gotten narrow because of all the stuff that's lined up on the inside. Right. Those kinds of things require medical attention.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a short-term solution. You need a really short-term solution.
Right. Should we take them to the hospital as soon as
Right. And maybe get surgery.
Wow. Oh my God.
Right. But I mean, if a person has a very mild case, and it's still at a level where they can just improve their lifestyle, they can improve what they eat, or they get more exercise and their blood pressure would improve, you don't need to take them to get surgery. You don't, right? No. But some people are too far into the high blood pressure where they do need the immediate surgery. Okay. So do you understand? The thing I wanted to talk about right now was saying that if you have high blood pressure, what is your advice? It's not enough information to answer the question. It depends on how severe the situation is.
Technically speaking.
Yeah, it depends on how severe the situation is.
Right.
And that again comes back to the scope. Is it urgent? If it's urgent, take them to the hospital. If it's not urgent, then try to improve your lifestyle. So that's That's how we have to think.
Okay, yeah. The first thing we have to do is just ask.
Yeah, scope the question.
And then better scope the question. Right.
Do you understand scoping? Scoping means like
right, like so. Yes, like specific. Specify, and then detect or spot or locate. I don't know.
Yeah. How
scope. Scope.
How wide you need to look.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to look at the tree.
そうだね。こう、まあ、寄ったり、引いたり、いろいろこう、まあ、フォーカスというか、日本語で言うと、フォーカスに近いのかな。よくね、カメラとかでもスコープとか言うけど、その、本当の問題を見極めるためには、だからさっき大室さんが言ってた、その、高血圧の人にどういうアドバイスをするかっていうのは、結局、情報量がまだ足りない時点では、ちゃんとしたアドバイスできないっていうのが、実際の問題ってことですね。だから、さっきのgoing back to the first topic we've covered, asking the right question.
Yep.
薬を飲む前に生活改善で。まあ、そうですね。That's the first thing we have to do. 生活改善大事ですからね。
Right. Yeah, but again, that only works if you're still, if it's not too late, right? If your blood vessels are going to clot any moment, then you don't have time for this.
Right.
In that case, you might have to take medicine or you might have to get surgery. That's how urgent this is. Right. So that's what we need to think about. We need to think about the question. The question has to be asked better.
Right.
And then you can finally you can solve the right question or you can solve the right problem. Okay. So again, earlier I said this: to get the right answer, you have to ask the right question, and it's true here too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. All right. So that was number 2.
Okay.
Just to recap real quick. Number 1 is ask the right question. Number 2 is ask the question with the right scope. Okay.
Good. Okay.
All right. Well, then let's go on to our final one. I think we have time for this.
Okay. We have 17 minutes to go.
Yeah. Okay, so the third one is to understand the problem at the right locality.
Locality.
Yeah. Right layer.
Layer.
Yeah. How close you are to the problem. Okay. And do you know the word abstraction? Abstract.
Abstract.
Yeah. Abstract. For example, let's say you have a car. Yeah, you have a car. And a normal person who drives a car needs to do the steering wheel. They need to do the stuff down here with the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And you need to shift gears, I think. But that's about it. Or maybe you have to do the lights and the blinkers and stuff. But that's about it, right? The normal person who drives a car does not care about how the engine works. Right? They don't have to care about spark plugs. You know? The mechanic cares about spark plugs, but you don't care about spark plugs. That's an abstraction. See, abstraction means that you, as a user, only care about this layer. Okay. But the abstraction is everything that makes the car work happens below the surface, and you only touch the stuff up here. Okay.
Abstraction.
Yeah. A computer is the same thing. When you use the computer, your interface is your keyboard, your mouse, and your screen. If you're a normal user of a computer, you don't really care how things work inside.
No, I don't.
No. You only care about whether the stuff you're using works. Okay. Same thing. So if you have a problem in a certain layer, you should really solve it in that layer. And let me give you an example of that. Okay. So going back to the car example, okay. Let's say you get on a taxi.
Okay.
Okay, and you ask the taxi, you ask the driver to go forward, and then right, and then the taxi's just driving, and then you arrive at your destination. The taxi driver, how does the taxi driver make the car move? How does he make? Yeah.
Just keep the foot on the gas pedal.
On the gas pedal, right?
Right.
Now, if you want him to stop the car, what should he do?
Just press the brake.
Brake, right? Yeah. That's right. That is solving the problem at the right location. Okay? Let me give you an example of solving the problem at the wrong layer. Solving the problem at the wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Solving the problem at the wrong layer would be he's going. He presses the gas pedal to make the car move, right?
Okay.
And then when he wants to stop the car, he turns the car off.
Oh, all of a sudden, right? Suddenly. Oh.
What happens?
Oh, that's an accident.
I don't know what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna die or.
Yeah, it's wrong. You are doing you're turning the whole car off. Does that accomplish the goal of stopping the car? Probably. But is that the right?
Literally.
Yeah, that's not the right answer though. Right? So that's called solving a local problem at a global level. It's called the global solution to a local problem, and you don't want to do that. Like in the past, when they didn't know how cancer worked, like if someone had a tumor in their leg, what did they do? They didn't know how to stop it, so they cut the guy's leg off. That's a local problem, but they didn't know how to solve it, so they just cut the guy's leg off, and that's a global solution to a local problem. That's solving it at the wrong place.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, let me explain what you said. 今、その大室さんが言ってた、その同じレイヤーで問題を解決しようっていうのは、そういうことですよね。やっぱりいろいろいくつか例は出てたけど、例えばパソコンで言うと、僕はエンジニアとか、アプリの開発者とかがないから、普通に自分がどうやってコンピューターを使って、自分に必要な、タスクを解決するのにどうやってコンピューターを使うか。で、それがどうやって動くかだけしか気にしないけど、まあ、例えばそれの開発者とか、専門家とか、車で言うとメカニックスとかは、中がどうやって動いてるのかとか、どうやって内部が動いてるのかっていう方をむしろケアする。ユーザー視点と、作り手の視点の違い。だから、ここの違うレイヤーで何か同じ物事を話し合ってもまず噛み合わないだろうし、さっき大室さんがタクシーの例で言ってたのは、どっか目的地について、よし、じゃあここで車止めてくれって言われて、おっしゃ、分かった、止めたらええねんなって、鍵ブシュンって車のエンジンをいきなり切ったら、車は止まってるかもしれないけど、そういうことじゃないよねっていう。だから違う層で話してたら、そういう問題解決はできたかもしれないけど、違う結果になってたりとか、求めてるもの、お互いが求めてるものではなかったりとかっていう問題が起こる。で、さっきの、what you said is global problem.
Global solution to a
local problem. ね、ローカルプロブレムとグローバルな問題のレイヤーの違いをやっぱりまずは理解しないといけない。これが、今日の最後のトピックですね。確かに。
You actually don't usually have the problem going the other way. You can't really have a local solution to a global problem because that won't fix anything. It's usually not enough. So the case you have to be careful is using a global solution to a local problem. You want to be careful about that. Okay.
Right.
I have another example of that, and maybe this one we can all think about.
Okay.
So do you understand what it means to offshore something?
Offshore?
Offshore production, for example.
Offshore means like outsourcing or
yeah, sort of. But it's outsourcing, but specifically offshore implies that you're doing it in another country. Okay. So.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So, for example, if you have a factory, let's say that you are making anything here, like a lot of things right now are offshored, and they're made in, for example, they're made in China or something.
Right.
Okay. Many people, like big companies that make electronics and stuff, they offshore things. Why? Yeah, why do they offshore things?
Save the cost.
Yeah, they do it to save costs, right? Right. But offshoring stuff actually causes a big problem.
Okay.
Okay. And what you're doing is, well, what are we doing? What kind of problems does offshoring cause? Because I think offshoring, which is, okay, you have a company, like you were saying, it's to cut costs. So you have a company who makes things. They have a factory. They pay their factory workers to do things. Okay, but they want to cut costs. So they fire all these people. They find people in another country who will do the work for less money, and they move all the work to that area, right? Okay, so their local problem is that they want to cut costs. But this sort of feels like a global solution because you're moving, you're doing something that's really huge. You're moving the problem elsewhere.
Right.
Okay. What kinds of other problems does this cause? What are we doing? You understand? We're actually causing problems by offshoring.
That causes the local problem?
Yeah, it's a problem.
Where the factory is.
Yeah. So let me give you a hint. It's what happens to all the people who were fired?
Okay. Right.
So if all these people lost their jobs,
in that country.
Yeah.
Right.
These people don't have a way of earning money anymore. So how are they supposed to buy that company's stuff? Like, imagine if everybody did that. Okay. Let's say every company in Japan decided to offshore all their production.
Right.
Now there's nobody in Japan who has money to buy anything. So then what happens to those companies? They collapse because they can't sell anything because nobody can buy it. Even though they cut costs of production, they used a bad solution. They offshored it. I don't know what they could do instead. They need a way to keep paying the people inside the country. If you offshore stuff, you're causing problems because now the people inside the country can't buy anything.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a suggestion, sort of like a practice exercise to do, in order for people to practice thinking at the right layer.
Okay.
Actually, for this one, I want people to use Japanese for it because I'm sure, or at least the listeners here who are more familiar with Japanese.
Okay.
I want them to use Japanese.
Okay, so
let me give you an example of some. Just my first two examples are going to be in English. Okay. What I want us to do is practice finding. Do you know what an antonym is?
Sorry, what did you say?
Antonym.
Antonym.
Yeah, antonym is a word that has the opposite meaning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. So, if you have the word big, what's the opposite of big?
It's small.
Yeah, like that. Okay. We wanna practice finding the appropriate opposite word. Most of the time with verbs.
Okay.
So if I asked you, what's the opposite of the verb to start? What's the opposite of starting something?
Okay. はい。今、大室さんから出たクイズは、本当にその完全に反対語、いわゆる、in Japanese 対義語っていうのかな、もう完全に反対の意味の言葉を、見つけることで、さっき言ったその同じレイヤーで物事を考えるちょっと訓練をしてみましょうということで、なんだっけ、start?
Start, yeah.
start.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy, I think.
スタートの反対語、対義語、in English。さて、皆さん、どうでしょう。まあ、これはわかるかな？So, can I answer?
Yeah, please.
Start だと、finish. 違う？
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. What about the opposite of what about the opposite of begin?
begin. begin. ちょっとこれは意地悪な。begin. 皆さんも一緒に考えてください。begin の反対。begin の反対。何なんだろう。あれさっき finish だったの。begin. end.
Yeah, very good.
かな？
Yeah. Opposite of begin is end, yeah. What about commence? To commence?
commence.
What's the opposite of commence?
commence ちょっと難しい言葉ですけどね、commence って。皆さんどうですか？assuring, antonym. 今日は数名いろいろ答えてくれてますね。commence の反対って何なんだろう
？Well, but you understand how this is a really good exercise of thinking at the right layer.
Right.
Yeah. It's because you have to compare what the words mean.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. commence.
Yeah.
なんだろう。terminate. 違うか。commence.
Actually, in certain cases, I think it could depend on the actual. For example, if you look up a word in a dictionary, you might have several definitions, right? 1, 2, 3. Each one might have. For example, I was thinking about opposite of small. You can say small and large also, and small and big, right? They're both antonyms, but I think when you say small and large, you're thinking of something different than small and big. Yeah. For example, another example might be, what's the opposite of more?
more.
Yeah, more. Less? Yeah. But fewer is also opposite of more.
Right.
More is used for both countable and uncountable.
Wow, you're so mean.
If it's countable, then you use fewer, and if it's uncountable, you use less. So one word could be the antonym of more than one thing. So I don't really think one of them is the right answer all the time.
No,
the particular answer I had in mind for commence is to conclude.
Conclude. Right. Conclude.
Yeah. But like conclude could also be the opposite of to introduce. Like if you're going to introduce a paper, like the introduction of a paper, and then a conclusion would be the opposite, right?
Right.
So really depends on the context sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's good training to think about the actual opposite.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about in Japanese would be like, what is the opposite of hajimeru?
始める。始めるの反対は、皆さんもぜひ考えてみてください。日本語で始めるの反対。どうですかね。まあ、いろいろ多分皆さん頭の中に浮かんでると思うけど、始めるの反対は、終える。かなlike, まあ、動作。みたいな。どうなんだろう。
I think that works, and I think owaru might be okay in certain cases too. But it's different. It's like I was thinking that's a difference if I asked what's the opposite of 開始する? 開始する, then the opposite would be like 終了する?
終了.
See how it's a little different than 始める, right? 開始. So that's actually thinking at the different layer. And that's why this is good exercise, to think about things at the right layer.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that?
So what was your question?
Oh, no, my question was, just saying, what do you think about
okay. The whole idea, layer.
Yeah.
そうですね。いや、さっき、大室さんが言ってたみたいに、やっぱり、なんて言うんだろう。お互いが、違う。What happened?
No, sorry. The tweet I just got is very funny. But yeah, somebody said, 始めない?
始めない。それは、あれでしょ。始めない。
Yeah.
Opposite meaning というか。
Yeah, I think that's like the negative of it, right?
Right.
Yeah. I like that, but that's not really what I'm looking for.
No need. そう。だから、違う、なんて言うんだろう。僕は思うのは、結局、お互いが、同じものを求めてない議論とか、一番無駄じゃないですか。なんか、違うことを言い合ってたりとか、お互いがもう解決しようとしてない議論、それこそクリティカル・シンキングとか、哲学的思考の大前提って言われるけど、いわゆるなんだっけ、共同解決願望かなんかね、両方がその問題を解決しようと思ってない限り、その議論は何も生産性を持たないっていうのと一緒で、だからさっき言った同じ、同じレイヤーで、同じレイヤーでやっぱり物事を考えて、同じ目線で、同じゴールに行こうっていう視点がすごく僕は大事かなと。だからそういう意味でさっき言ってた反対の意味を考えたりとか、そういうのはすごく大事だと思いますね。That's my opinion.
No. Yeah, I think it's a good exercise. I didn't think of it. It's not mine, but
it's my opinion.
Yeah, it's not my idea. I didn't invent this training.
Right.
But I think it's a good training. So it's something that maybe you should think about. People should think about once in a while.
Right.
Think about what is the opposite meaning of.
Yeah.
And you want to think of the precise opposite meaning.
Precise, yeah. Not 始めないね。
Yeah. Yeah, and also not 始める and 終了する. That's, I mean, they're similar, but they're not exact opposites, right?
Right. Yep. Okay, so did we cover?
That's what I wanted to cover today. Yeah.
Okay, 3 topics.
Yeah. Well, it's one big topic, just 3 things inside 3 subtopics. Let me just recap them.
Okay.
The first one is to ask the right question.
Yeah, it's the right question.
To get the right answer, you have to ask the right question. In fact, I feel like tweeting that right now.
Okay.
So to get the right answer, you have to ask the right question.
It's the right question. そうですね。正しい答えを導くためには、正しい質問をしないといけない。それがよく、あれですよね。おもかたさんとかの記者会見でも言われてたけど、記者の質問力によって、やっぱりその場の進行とかもやっぱり変わっていくんでね。やっぱり質問力大事ですよね、すごく。
And obviously, to ask the right question, you have to focus on the true problem. Like, what is the actual problem at the root of here?
Right.
Yeah. Make sure you're asking for, do we really want to keep replacing the heater, or do we want to get a new heating system?
Right.
Yeah. Do I really need the new job, or is it just something that I need to work out? Right? That kind of thing. Okay. The second one is the answer could be, it has to have the right scope. Okay. So long term or short term, important or urgent, that kind of thing. Okay. The third one is understanding the problem at the right layer. So make sure your answer is going to be at the right layer. This kind of layer.
Right. Yeah. That's what I just did.
Yep. Very good.
だから、2番目は、その、正しいスコープで、なんていうんだろう、ちょっと画角というか、その、見え方、その、パースペクティブというのか、なんかこの、ね、視野、正しい、こう、視界でもってこの物事を判断すると、今必要なことなのか、それ長期的に必要なものなのか、っていうところをまあはっきりさせないと、そもそも問題解決には至らないっていうことですね。で、3番目が最後ちょうどやってたですね、そのレイヤー、同じレイヤーで物事を考えて、まあ、レイヤーってなんかよく最近日本語でもね、言いますけどね、なんかこう、そのレイヤーが深い問題とか、なんかこういろいろこうよく言うけど、まあ、階層というか、同じ土俵というか、なんかそういうイメージですよね。ということで、今日のクリティカルシンキングは、そんな感じでしょうか。非常になんかこう、実地的なというか、あんまり、こういうことってあんまり習えないんですよね。日本の英語を勉強する、例えばクラスとかレッスンとか、こういう考えってあんまり習う機会ないし、僕らも学校でそんなことを習わないし、なので非常に僕自身すごく勉強になりました。なんか物事のそのコアというか、見つめるいい機会になりました。
Okay.
So, awesome. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that the most important thing here is just to take a step back and always ask yourself why you want to do what you're doing.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Right. And if you ask why you want to do that, then you get closer to the core of the problem, I think. So that's why when we went to getting a new job, you ask yourself, well, why do I want the new job? And then you might get to that actual problem of, well, maybe I just don't like the people, or maybe maybe I don't like the job, or maybe I don't get paid enough. But you don't get there until you ask why.
Yeah. Psychologists said like that. The same as you. Like ask your question. Ask yourself 3 times why. Why do you want to do that? Then why do you want to do that? だから今大室さんが言ってたのは、物事にぶち当たって問題が何か起こったときは一度 take a step back。後ろにちょっと引いてみて、で、そこから自分になんでっていう問題を why をちょっと自分に問いかけてみることで、何かそういうクリティカルな物事をしっかり判断するっていう力を身につけていこうっていうことですね。非常に大事な視点ですね。と思います。ということで、そんな感じですかね。今日はちょっと猫の登場が多かったですけど。まあ、そんな感じですかね。皆さんも、ぜひ、なんかこう、日々の、なんかこう、日常に活かしてもらえるといいですよね。こうやって英語学習ね、英語だけを勉強するんじゃなくて、英語を通してなんか考え方とかなんかね、新しい視点身につけれたらいいんですよね。で、また来月も第2週で、また違う新たなクリティカルシンキングの何か一つ、新しい挑戦というか、やってみようかなと思ってますんで、ぜひぜひ、また見てください。ということで、今日で連休が終わりなのかなかな多分。なので、また皆さん明日からお仕事だと思いますけど、また、英語に、そして日々に頑張っていきましょう。ということで、ありがとうございました。で、大室さんも、Thank you for being here.
Yep. All right.
はい、では、Good night.
Night.